I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and today I'm going to compare the Lexus RX to the Acura MDX. But before I get into that, make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related content. Okay, so to point out some differences and some similarities, we'll start with the Lexus. On the Lexus, we have that new Lexus spindle grille where the opening is sort of lower down and we have this little bit of plastic nose piece at the front. Over to the Acura, however, it's almost a flipped reverse mirror of it, where we have that grille a little bit higher up, a little bit more bumper plastic towards the bottom, and actually even standing beside the Acura, it feels higher. In fact, it is higher. I can definitely feel that. It's like hip height, where this one's just a little bit lower than my hip bone, and it also just feels a bit wider, a bit beefier in all sense, where you can tell the Lexus was trying to just be a little more sleek with the styling. So looking at the side profile of the MDX first, we have a 20-inch multi-spoked wheel and sort of some chrome that sort of flows from the front door to the back door. A little bit of chrome on the mirror and sort of trimming off that side profile. I think with the white, it looks super classy. The contrast between the two, I think probably in black, it would look really cool as well. The actual shape of the silhouette, it is a little longer, I find. It's not quite as sleek, and probably that's because of all the extra space that you're gonna get in the Acura. However, over to the Lexus, we see a little bit more jagged lines. We have a 21-inch wheel, painted fender flares, painted mirror with a little bit of chrome. There's still a little bit of chrome around the door frame a little bit. And then we have obviously my favorite feature, which is the electronic door handles, which I absolutely love. And overall, the silhouette itself is just a little more sleek. It's not like a big long family hauler. It has a little bit more of that sportiness. You can even see the lines going up to that rear sort of glass quarter there. Instead of being nice and squared off like the Acura for extra people and cargo and stuff like that, it's really tapered off and is a lot more sporty. So the rear profile of the Lexus is probably my favorite part of the car. So we have the beautiful blade taillight from left to right, which underlines very powerfully that LEXUS brand new logo that just came out. At the bottom, we have just some textured plastic and material and a little bit of that F-Sport grille sort of on the sides with no exhaust ports. Now, if you remember from other videos and other people in the market have said, the reason we don't have exhaust ports anymore is because as you look into the future for how cars are going to look, a lot of hybrids, a lot of EVs are gonna be on the road. So you don't wanna look like you're out of place or outdated just because you have exhaust ports on the vehicle. In order to check out the cargo space, because that's always important when looking at an SUV, I figured why not use something that people are gonna wanna drive around with all the time. So I figured your typical dealership office chair to show how much space the RX has. You can see, you could fit it sideways. I could probably fit it backwards as well. Definitely not upside down because that would be dangerous. But there's a decent amount of cargo space back there. You can fold down the rear seats from hitting some buttons just in the trunk space. And when you go to shut it, it's very smooth, quick, and easy. So the back of the MDX, so we do have an exposed wiper here, which in the marketplace is becoming a little more rare. A lot of them are tucked up out of the way, which is nice. Taillights, I actually really do like. They do have like that little swoop to them. They don't go all the way across, but they still look very stylish, very modern. We have some chrome at the bottom. We do have exposed exhaust ports, even on this one, which is, I think, the limited package. So it's not the Sport, but we still do have these nice wide exhausts. And in the trunk space, there's a lot going on, and I gotta give kudos to Acura for this because it's huge back here. So again, that same test to bring your dealership office chair into the car, I could probably fit, I don't know, like I could fit like 4 of those, and it definitely is a lot longer back here. I'm also gonna show you really quick what it's like when you have the third row folded up, because it does have a third row, and the amount of space behind the third row, I'm telling you, even a GX, even a Lexus LX 600 doesn't have this kind of space. Now, I haven't sat in the third row yet, but it's huge back here. There is some storage space underneath. I gotta give it to you, Acura. You did a really good job for the cargo space. So sitting in the MDX, I have a lot to talk about. So first of all, the brown that's in here, absolutely gorgeous. I think same thing with a black exterior or a white exterior, or maybe even a blue exterior. This brown suits very well. It's sort of like a saddle brown, like it's dark, which I like. It's contrasted, kind of interesting. We still have some gray for the headliner. Probably I would have liked to see that blacked out, but that's okay. And there's lots of layers to the dashboard. So we have some leather, some wood, some piano black, some plastic underneath, like by where the glove box is. And Acura did something different than what all the other manufacturers are doing. Instead of getting rid of buttons, which is what we're seeing Lexus do, we're seeing Toyota do the same thing. Even BMW are trying to get rid of as many buttons as we can because the thought was, you know, to keep things like simple and sleek and do everything through the head unit. There are a lot of guests of mine who still want true buttons. They still want to just be able to put it in sport mode, change the volume knob here, you know, hit defrost, hit cooled seat, all that stuff. And Acura did not cheap out on that. There's a lot of buttons there. It's really easy to use as long as you're okay with not feeling overwhelmed. And the steering wheel is the exact same. We have wheels on the steering wheel where both your thumbs go. We have cruise control. We also have a volume up, down, resume, and set up, down. There's probably 10 buttons on each side for each thumb. Paddle shifters. We still have some more buttons over to the left here, which is everything from how to heat up your wipers to how to turn on the parking sensors. And I think there is a guest that would appreciate that for sure, because that way it's not going through a screen, which is important because the screen, it kind of reminds me of the previous generation Lexus one where there's a little mouse pad here and you know, you can scroll up and down on the right, and then for the most part you're just gonna touch on the center. And actually it's pretty accurate where you don't just have to touch and drag, you can just click on the square where you want on the screen to light up. So it is accurate in that sense, and there's some quick home buttons and stuff like that. It's not touchscreen. I actually thought that it's close enough that it could be a touchscreen, but it's not. So I don't know if that's gonna be something they change in the future, but I'm sure just like the Lexus used to be, once you get used to that mouse pad, it's probably fine. And we have a big charging port here for wireless charging, a little armrest to sort of settle down on. The steering wheel is kind of small, and I like that. You can grip your hands around it very easily. The dash is very HD. There's a little car there. There's a heads-up display on this one. We have a sunglass holder, which is always important. And my head, actually, when I'm looking up at the sunroof right now, it does feel like it's a mile away, which is kind of cool for me being a 6'1" guy. There's one cool feature though that I only found today when preparing for this video. And that is, there's a little charging port right here. So if you just click this little square, it pops up and it's like a charging block for your phone. There's a USB-C, a USB, whatever the old one's called, USB-A, I don't know what it's called. And it just kind of pops up, and when you don't want it, you just pop it down. I think features like that are cool. I would show my friends that for sure. Okay, I gotta give Acura some more credit. The back seat is really good. So there's climate control, heated seats, all the stuff that I'm used to back here. Some USB-C, some 12-volt outlets, even a wall outlet, which is kind of cool. I don't know how many watts it is, 150 watts. So you could definitely do some electronic stuff there. We have some curtains that go up and down, which is nice. The panoramic sunroof, which lets in some extra light. All of that is really great. However, the center is where it's at. So right now I have the center seat folded down. We have some cup holders, a little bit of a tray going on there. We can fold that up, and if I wanted an extra passenger with me, that would be cool too. However, I found a new feature just now. Just like how we had that chair in the back, if you didn't bring your own chair and you wanted to go to the beach, you could take this one out. So you could actually just fold this up, and it comes out, and it's got a backrest and everything like that. And now we have some extra space here for, you know, 2x4s, whatever you want to do. And you can bring this out and go sit on a lawn somewhere. Let's say you last minute went to a concert and you forgot your lawn chair. This car comes with a lawn chair. How cool is that? Anyway, I don't know why I think that is so cool. I love seeing features when cars can do different things modularly. And I think Acura did a really good job of that. So good job, Acura. So sitting back in the Lexus, I do feel home for sure. This one is a lower model, absolutely. It's an F Sport Series 1, but even on the higher models, it's the same layout. And what I mean by that is there isn't a lot of buttons going on, which I really like, and I think a lot of people do really like that, where you're not overwhelmed. You're gonna set everything up the way you want it anyway. So it's nice just to be able to calmly look at your beautifully crafted interior and not be overwhelmed at all. I will say the layers of dash make a little more sense in here than the Acura, but I'm not as familiar with the Acura, so that could just be because I'm comfortable in here, where we have most of the same material trimmed off with some modern aluminums and stuff like that. And of course, the ultra suede on the door panels. The leather is very well appointed. We have the armrest that opens both ways, the cup holder that goes up and down based on how big your coffee is, and a little bit of storage on the front with a really classy shifter. I forgot to mention that on the Acura, it's buttons, where on this one, it's like a shifter that goes into the gear and then kind of flips back. It's a touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. This is the smallest screen. You can get it a lot bigger, which is really nice. And on any of the sport ones, you're gonna just have sort of like 6 buttons on each thumb. And depending on what you see in the heads-up display, you can change through different pages and kind of customize what those buttons do. So they're not actually engraved here on the steering wheel. You're just gonna see them kind of floating above your dash or on your really HD little MID display. display there, which is also nice. Couple buttons just for like your seat settings and stuff like that, but nothing really crazy going on here. The point is to be just a little more easy, simple, still have all the features, but not all the mess and buttons, which is great. And of course, it has my favorite door handles, which you just sort of use your thumb to open up in one motion instead of awkwardly doing it with your elbow like you do in most cars. Okay, sitting in the back of the RX, we have a ton of room here. I have lots of headroom, lots of leg room, because don't forget, we don't have rear seats behind us. This is the main passenger area. All the amenities, some new USB-Cs, some climate control. Most of them have heated and cooled rear seats, which is great. And they didn't cheap out on the upholstery for back here. We still have some ultra suede, some very high quality leather, a beautiful armrest with some cup holders. That folds up. The seats recline a little bit, which is nice too. And like I said, it's less of like that big family hauler where you're trying to fit, 6 kids in the back or whatever, and just more of a very elegant passenger experience is what I would say. It doesn't have the really cool removable seat like the Acura does. I wish it did, because that is just so cool. But very elegant, very classy, and still very well appointed. And wait, one more thing. It has a black headliner, which don't underestimate what kind of experience that does for the passengers, where everything matches, even the headliner, because that's such a big part of the interior that a lot of people forget about. Okay, so in terms of powertrains, we have the Lexus with the new turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and the Acura with a V6, and I think you can even get it with a turbocharged V6, which adds a little bit more extra power. And where do they come in price point wise? I thought it was gonna be a bigger gap, but they are very close. This one is an F Sport Series 1 RX, comes in like the 67 range. If you get a fully loaded RX, it's gonna be high 70s. This Acura is very well equipped, is limited package, very well appointed. You're only around the 73 range. So they kind of leapfrog each other, but both definitely playing in the same ballpark, just depending on what you're trying to get. Maybe a little bit sportier, maybe a little bit more space for the family. You let me know in the comments below if, for the price point, which one are you choosing? The Lexus RX or the Acura MDX? Either way, both are great choices, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. So, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. If you want an Acura, by all means, check out our Acura dealership, Performance Acura. If you're interested in Lexus, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.